Barbers, if you're struggling with freestyle designs or star designs, then this video is for you. My name is Andy, and I'm a well-known barber with over 20 years of experience. I've been able to work for some of the biggest companies in the industry, and my goal for this channel is to share all my knowledge and expertise with you. So now let's get started with the star design. All right, the first thing that I want you guys to do is notice how the design came out. Notice that the stars are the focal point of the design. So that was what I was looking for when I, started to piece out this design. I'm gonna start off in this little corner over here. I'm gonna start off with a normal shape. Normally I start off with, sharp points, corners, things like that. When you're doing freestyle designs, you want to develop a certain group of patterns that you want to start and be able to incorporate into your freestyle designs. So here I'm just freestyling it up. As you can see, I'm making some of the lines thicker. The thicker the line, the easier the design is going to be to see from further distances away. So I started off with a point, and then now here I'm going to incorporate another piece of my freestyle design catalog pieces. And this is going to be more of a swirly shape. So as I'm going through the freestyle design, what I'm doing is I'm trying to mix around and incorporate different shapes to create a more appealing thing for the eye. So I incorporate swirls, I incorporate more, circular movements, incorporation with pointy movements and pointy corners so that your eye can move from the circular movements to the sharp points, and it can be really aesthetically pleasing to the eye. So here I'm just creating a zigzag, and then the zigzag is going to be pretty much the initial start of how I incorporate the stars. That's going to be where the movement starts. So as you can see, I got this little zigzag going on here. I'm starting to bend the lines a little bit. And as I go in there, I'm starting to thicken the lines so that the design can be more visible from further away. Now here's where I'm going to place the stars. That's going to be the focal point of the design. So I have the movement in there, and I want to move it through. So I'm going back in there, and I'm just going to, continue to create my movement piece where it starts and work my way towards where I'm going to be placing the stars. As you can see here, you can see some of the circular movements, incorporation with the sharper lines and the sharper edges. I'm going in there and creating some swirls to, give the eye a little bit more to look at. Now, as I'm doing these freestyle designs, I'm making sure not to go in there the first time and make it super duper visible. So now I'm going to start with a star there, another star at the bottom, maybe another star to the corner. So the first thing, we're going to start with an A shape and then build the arms of the star. All right, that's going to make sure that the top part of the star is symmetrical. So now we're going to go down with one of the arms, and we're going to make sure it matches the A point of the beginning of the star. And do the same on the other side. Now we're going to have an A with arms. So now we're going to continue the line straight down to add the outside part of the leg, and then continue onto the other side. As you can see, we're building out the star little by little. This is only one way you can do it. So now I'm going to go and make sure that I'm, making the legs meet up in the middle, making sure that the legs are proportionate. Now that I got the star shape, I'm going to go back in there and just thicken the lines just a bit, just to make sure that the lines are really, really visible from far. Now I'm going to show you guys a different way to create a star. So I'm going to start with a straight line going diagonal, and then another one similar to the A shape. Now I'm going to go straight across, and this is going to be the top of the arms. All right, so it looks like a real A. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to connect the left arm with the right leg, and do the same with the right arm and the left leg. This is kind of similar to when you draw stars on paper. You're kind of doing the same pattern, but you want to make sure it's symmetrical so that the star is actually even. Now I'm going to go into the inside and just remove all the lines and all the extra hair from the inside, giving me a nice crispy star. Now I'm going to create another star, a smaller one, using the same technique. Now when creating stars, you know, I don't want to make it completely perfect, every single star. I want some stars to have a little more flair than others. Some of them maybe have an outline, some of them be, you know, a negative star, just so that it could create more dynamic. So now I'm going to move the design and start moving it into the stars, starting by outlining the first negative star on the bottom, leaving this star as an outline. Now I'm going to continue to work around the other star, but notice how on the second star I'm actually trying to change the way the thickness of the outside looks, just to give it a little bit more dimension, just to give it a different look. Now when you're creating these freestyle designs, you got to really position the corners of the clippers, because that's what's going to help you maintain control. And if you go in and you lightly make these marks first, then it'll make it a lot easier, just in case you go over a piece that you don't want to, it won't cut it all the way down. So now I'm continuing to add a couple of more of my freestyle shapes, just to give it some more movement. This is where you really could get creative. And when you're creating these freestyle movement pieces, you want to make sure that you're changing the depth of the actual lines that you're creating. So you see how this corner right here is really small, and then as we go down, the line gets thicker. Then as we move into the circular portions, the lines are really thick. You want to make sure you're messing with the thickness of the lines. So on this star, we're going to go in there and we're going to fade it out. So I'm starting off with just the left portion, and I'm making it similar to an outline. Now I'm using the trimmer so that I can blend that in easily with the clipper later on. So I'm starting to create the fade. Notice how I'm leaving that little piece, because I want the back part of the freestyle design to look like it's coming through the star. So as you can see, it's kind of looks like it's shooting through the star, and then now I'm going to continue the design on the top. So as I go through that, I realized that it's just going to look better if I were to just clean it up. So I removed it, and then I still went with the design going through the star. And I wanted this to be as natural as possible for you guys, so you guys can see my thought process on how I would attack this. You go in with an idea and you adjust accordingly. So now I'm making some thicker lines to give it a little bit more negative dimension, and to actually make that piece that goes through the star pop out. Now I'm going to continue to keep adding my freestyle shapes, some sharp lines, some round lines. Here I'm going to go a little bit more sharp. Now on the sides, I'm really going to start to simplify the design. I don't want to go too crazy and take the focal point away from the stars. So now that I have the stars in the middle, I'm just going to work around it, try to get it to blend in, try to get it to look like it belongs. Notice every couple of strokes, every time I cut, I would actually like brush the hair. But also notice how I'm not making every single line completely perfect. Normally when you're designing, you want to make sure that you're embedding the design in, but you want to leave a little bit of hair. So when you go back with the razor, you can go in there and crisp up the lines a bit. So as you can see, I took a little step back. I realized I wanted to take the design a little bit more to the front, and that was the shape and the pattern that I wanted to create. So I'm going in there now and I'm crisping all the little lines to make the design end exactly where I wanted it to end. And this is pretty much just like the sloppy copy of it. Like I said, you're going to go back with the blade and you're going to make sure all the lines are crispy and all the hairs are removed. And here's the total look when it was finished, and this is exactly how the haircut and the design came out. I faded it around afterwards just to make it look fresh. If you liked this video, if you found it helpful, then subscribe to the channel.